do me a favor, subscribe to my channel.
Hey everyone, Kyle here from POSEIDON'S Pets. So if you follow me on Facebook and Instagram, you've probably seen that my 20-gallon planted grow out tank that I've been growing plants out in, the fish in there had what I thought to be ick. So it was just one little spot on one of the mollies, and of course ick isn't really something that you want to take lightly, but at the same time you don't want to freak out about it. And so of course I decide to medicate the tank, and I did a large water change, about 95%, and then I just dropped in the Tetra ick tabs. So my buddy Ryan said he had used those before, and I would have liked to use IckX, but I didn't have any on hand, and Amazon was going to take about a week to get it to me. So I just ran out to PetSmart and I grabbed some of those fizz tabs. I popped one of those in there. I created a real good food for them with the vitality and the garlic, and I kind of fed that for a couple days. The spot went away. I haven't seen any other spots since then, so I don't really think there's anything going on with that tank that I should be worried about. But just in case, I'm going to finish the quarantine process before I add those guys back to the 60-gallon planted tank. My only issue with that is my shrimp tank, my coal tank I just set up, has Planaria in it. And I don't want to transfer my snails back to our hard tap water. I would rather keep them in that remineralized RO, because the snails are mostly going to be for my shrimp tanks. So I don't want to have to keep drip acclimating them to the tap water, to the remineralized RO. I want to keep them at the same parameters, because with snails, every time you change their water parameters, every time you put them into a new tank, it affects their shell. So they get a new growth band on their shell from that change in the water parameters. And it doesn't hurt the snails at all. It just can affect the way they look and make them less appealing. So it's not something that I want to keep doing. I don't want to keep just switching from tank to tank with these snails. I kind of want to give them their own home and leave them in there. So what I'm going to do is I'm headed to Petco right now, because if you're aware of it, they have their $1 per gallon sale right now. So I'm going to go pick up a 10-gallon tank. I'm going to set that up with the heater and one of the sponge filters from that 20-gallon, and I'm going to put the fish in it. So that tank's cycled and ready to go with that new sponge filter with the heater, and I'm going to turn that other 20-gallon tank into a remineralized RO tank, so basically a shrimp tank. And then when I'm ready to get some different shrimp, you know, some blue dreams or some jades or something else, I have that tank ready to go. So I figured this would make a nice video for you, so that way you could kind of see the new setups, and just to keep you updated on my fish room and my fish shenanigans and the things that I'm doing. So I'm on my way to Petco right now, and I'll be right back with you when I get there. So just got to Petco. Let's go grab this tank. Marine fish. And if you're ever looking for moss and you can't find it, I know a lot of times they have it right here. You can just grab it right off the shelf. And I've added that to my tanks a couple times, and it's been fine. It's done good. So we got some 5.5s and some 10s. I usually just inspect them, make sure no cracks, anything like that. So they just opened up. So now nobody's here. Get to ring the bell. Alrighty. So we got our tank. Time to go home. Alright everyone, so we're back from Petco. I've got the 10-gallon tank underneath the 20-gallon where I want it. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to disconnect the heater from the 20-gallon long. I'm going to put that in the 10-gallon I'm gonna grab one of these sponge filters and throw that in there, and then I'm just gonna drain 10 gallons of water from the 20 gallon into the 10, and then we're gonna transfer the fish over. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that real quick, and then I'll be right back with you. So I've got the sponge filter installed, the heater. Now we're just gonna drain some water into that bottom tank. I'm gonna empty this one next, so I'll keep you updated as I go along. I got all the little guys in their new home, so I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna drain this the rest of the way and then fill it up with remineralized RO. Alright guys, so we got our RO water in here. I also used 5 gallons from my shrimp tank. I had done a water change on the one upstairs, so I had 5 gallons of remineralized water already. So I dumped that in here on top of another 3 gallons of just RO water. And what it's sitting at, if I test the TDS, we're at 160. So with that 5 gallons of remineralized water and the RO, we're at 160. So I am going to remineralize with my shrimp mineral, GH and KH, and I'm just gonna do 2 scoops in here because I wanna shoot for around 200 to 250. Most of my tanks run around like 215, 220. So I wanna kinda keep it in that range. So I'm gonna do 2 scoops because I know 2 scoops in a 5 gallon bucket puts me at like 260. So with this already partially remineralized, I think that's gonna be good for the full 20 gallons. And I'm just gonna put it in a water bottle so that way I could actually shake this up and get it all mixed in without having to stir the whole tank up and disturb all those plants. So we're gonna try to mix this up as best as possible. I got most of it, but there's still some particles in there. I'm gonna let that kind of just mix in a little bit and then we're gonna test it again. So I gave this a minute. Let's go ahead and test it and see where we're at. Look at that. Am I good or am I good? Like I was saying, most of my tanks sit around 215, 220, so having this at 219, 220, that's exactly where I want it. And if I do ever add shrimp to this tank at any point, I would do a water change and then remineralize it to a lower number because I do want closer to 200. I don't want that higher range, but for the snails, 220 would be fine. Now it's time for the fun part. I get to catch all of these snails so that I can start drip acclimating them into the new tank. So that way when I dose this tank with the fenbendazole, it's not going to kill my snails. So that's the whole point of today's mission, was to save these snails so that way I can treat the shrimp tank with that fenbendazole to kill my planaria. I'm gonna start off by filling this bowl with some water so that way the shrimp or the snails have something to start out with. Now I'm sure you guys don't want to sit here and watch me catch all these snails, so I'll be right back with you after I catch these guys and get them drip acclimating. So it took me a little bit, but I did it. I caught all the snails, even the little ones, so that way they're not going to die in here when I dose it with the fenbendazole, but also that if they were to die in here, that's going to create an ammonia spike and then possibly hurt my shrimp. So when I dose this tank, any remaining snails, any of the planaria is going to die. And there's not a lot of planaria in here. I've only seen a couple, and I took out a few already. So I'm hoping that it's not going to cause an ammonia spike, but after I dose this, in a couple days, what I'm gonna do is just do a water change and keep an eye on it so that way there is no ammonia spike. To dose this fenbendazole, you wanna have some way of measuring this out. So what I use is just a gram scale. You can buy these for medications and other things online. I bought it from Amazon, it was like 20 bucks. The dosage is 0.1 grams per 10 gallons. So we want 0.2 grams. Way over. Good job, Kyle. Well, that's reassuring. All right. So we want to make sure this is as accurate as possible. We're at 0. I'm just going to put it right on the scale. I don't know how we're going lower. Okay, so 0.2 grams is going to be enough for this 20 gallon. I can only imagine that if anybody was to look at my table inside where I keep all my, water test kits, my medicines, my vials, everything, they probably walk in and they think, this dude makes meth. Like he's making drugs right here in his home. Nope, just a fish keeper. So like I did with the remineralizer, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put this fenbendazole in a water bottle, so that way I can shake it up, I can mix it up, and then I can add it to the tank. And I'm gonna do this over the tank, so if any of it goes in there, it's not a big deal. Now, one of the reasons why I put it in a water bottle is this stuff is hydrophobic. So if you see it, it doesn't really dissolve in the water. So you gotta mix it in really good. Hey, thank you guys so much for watching. I definitely appreciate it and going on this journey with me. So I've got the fenbendazole in the shrimp tank. I've got my snails drip acclimating. So the last thing I need to do is make sure that the TDS in the container is the same as the TDS in the tank. Once that happens, I can go ahead and release these guys in there. So I'm gonna give this fenbendazole a couple days to do its thing, kill that planaria, do a water change, and then just keep an eye on it, make sure that there's no more. If there is any more, I gotta dose again. So I'm hoping that this is a one and done type of thing. I don't have to do it again. But thank you for watching, and as always, if you love me, you love my fish, you love my videos, hit that subscribe button. It really does help me out. Enjoy the rest of your day.